Massachusetts.
Okay, all yours.
Hey guys, so this time I'll be talking about getting it done right. So first of all, these are the topics I'm gonna touch on this meeting. So give a quick overview. First of all, I wanna focus on getting all the terms right. So I'm not gonna be focusing that much on specific commands from the terminal. I will show some of them, but I also wanna give another point of view that I believe is really strong and is using a Git visual client. And by the end, we'll have a discussion about that if you want. So why curl if you can run, right? So at this point, I'll be showing SourceTree. There are other visual clients. I tend to use SourceTree mostly. It's from the same people of Atlassian, and I believe it's pretty stable and useful. So the key point here, I'm gonna be talking about each subject, and I'm gonna show you this repository. So first of all, why use a visual client? I mean, yeah, it consumes more memory. It might be some space in your storage too. Sometimes it might slow down your computer if you have a lot of things open. So why use it? I don't say you have to use it all the time. I only use it when I really need to. And I believe it makes my development faster and it just eases the work. So the main thing here is that you have everything in one view, okay? You don't have to go look at the terminal for doing, like, for example, I don't know, like viewing the branches, the story, whatever. Um, it's really easier to just look at the whole history here. You have all the branches, but you can also select any branch that you want. So if I just want to see the story from the master branch, then you have it here. If you select anything here, you can just look at the changes and you will see everything in one page. So you have the commit ID, you have the person who did the commit, the date, and you also have all the file changes. So you can see all the changes here, or you can just select a specific file and see the changes there. You can also do a reverse with just one click. What else? Well, basically, you can change to a previous commit in history really fast. So, for example, I don't know if I go back here and I say hey, I wanna check out this commit, and I know one of the major things, for example, I have used these, and I believe is one of the key points, strong points of SourceTree or any visual client is that I had a defect that was like 7 days old, and it started happening around that time. So it was really hard to keep track of all the changes being done from the last 7 days. So what I did is I went back to the moment where I knew that at that point it was working fine. And I just had to get in here and go search the story and look for something from a specific date and just double click it and change to that. So at that point, I just had my local changing and I just had to maybe do an npm install or something, if that's the case, and just check if it was working fine. So that way I could track the defect really fast. And I just noticed like, okay, here it's working. Here is working. Here is working. So I went back until, so I went forward until it stopped working. At that point, I just had like 2 files and it was way easier to know what change could have broken that issue. So this is one of the key points that I want to mention because it's really hard in my opinion, to do that from the terminal, like checking all the changes here. And I mean, it's not the same. And I mean, yeah, you can go back, for example, using Visual Studio Code. Like I can just go back here in the, okay, I have issues with the git length. Yeah, I have to restart. So yeah, while this loads, so this is really nice. I mean, it tells you when to pull the changes. It's just one click or the other. You can change branches with just one click. You can create a new branch, you can fetch, you can push, you can do everything. Stash. I mean, it's really, really easy, really quick. And I believe it's way easier than typing everything in the terminal. And I don't know, it can get messy sometimes. So this one point I wanted to bring up. And as I was saying, let's see if it's working now. Yeah, still slow. Okay, there. So yeah, I mean, you can review the previous commit here, for example. And I mean, yeah, this file is new, so it's the whole file. But yeah, what I mean is like looking at this, it's just one file, and you can have a look of all the files from this view. So it's more powerful, in my opinion. So something else, let's see. Okay, so having your working copy, it's also something pretty simple. So imagine I'm here, I have nothing yet, but I know I can go and, remove this, just break the engine. So I save the changes and I go back here, and here are the changes. So this is one change. Imagine I just do another change. So let's do this. And there it goes. Okay, so this other key feature that I want to mention, it's really easy to see all file changes for a specific file and for multiple files. So at this point, I can just discard these changes, or I can even discard per line. So this is also something I believe is way better doing it from here. You can also stage specific changes and not the whole file. So I can just stage this, for example, and there you go. So this is staged and this is not. And you can also, as I said, per line. So this is really useful. I don't know if you are the type of person that does console logs and adds them everywhere, and maybe to debug, you can just see all the files here and you can easily remove the console logs, for example. So what else? Yeah, it's really easy to do resets from here. So you can just do a reset, and you can reset specific files and you can reset all. So that will just make it all gone. And that's it. So imagine doing this from the terminal. I mean, you can do it, yeah. You can do a git reset or whatever and hard. And you can put a commit ID or just a file name or whatever. But I mean, what if you just, I don't know, you get some issues, or you really don't know, at least if you're a basic user or something, you can get lost doing that kind of things. You can maybe make a mistake, I don't know, remove something you don't want, or lose changes you don't want to lose. So if you have it all in a visual client, it's also really helpful. So I believe it's not about pride. Like, yeah, I can remember all the Git commands and I can type them all in the terminal and I can do it. And yeah, I'm Superman. Like, that's not the idea.
Actually, it is a little.
Yeah, I know a lot of people think that way. But yeah, I mean, just think about all the time you can save and about everything that you have in your mind already with so many languages, multiple scripting languages or whatever, and the day-to-day life, like you have a lot of things in mind. So at some point, like having all those commands in mind is also more. So you can just ease your life doing this. I'm not saying that you have to do it. I mean, the terminal is just fine. And I want to show also a very good alternative. So if you have Git Lens, the extension in Visual Studio Code, there might be some other similar stuff in other scripting ideas. So here you actually have a lot of pretty nice stuff. So you can actually see and compare. You have all these here, so you can change branch also. You can see the contributors. You can also see, for example, the remotes. You can see the stashes. So you can also apply a stash from here. For example, I can just double click this one and apply stash or delete stash. So it's all the same by doing it in the terminal. And I mean, you have all the branches. You can see the changes. So for example, as I said, if I change something here, so at this point, I will see the changes here. So I can compare. So this is really nice, actually. And it's also similar, doing it in a visual way. If you have multiple files, it's basically the same thing. So you will see multiple files here. I mean, this is really nice, actually. And this all with Git Lens. You can even see the line, who did the change, how long did the change, and the commit message. So this is really useful, and maybe with this is enough. You don't have to go to a visual client to do extra stuff. You can just do this and do simple commands from the terminal, and this is good enough. You can commit files too. Like you can stage it here, and you just then add it, commit, git commit, git add, and everyone knows those commands. They're simple, so it's pretty straightforward actually. And you can also see the commit message here. So if you go to any commit, so here you can see the commit message and everything. So it's also really similar, all in one view, kind of, not fully percent, but yeah, you have a lot of access. You have file history too. You can actually go to the file history, and if you want to change to a specific point in time, then you can go back and click on it, and you will see the changes. So this is also really useful. And you can also search commits, so it's really nice. So Git Lens is really useful. If you don't have it, I think it's a really good idea to install it. It's really useful. So let's see what else. So another thing that SourceTree has is support for Git flow. Right now it's not really being used that much, but it's nice to read about it and how it works and how it's the structure. So basically it's about naming branches in the correct way and that kind of things. So you have also develop, you have master. So we usually do this from our side, but you can, for example, have a feature, and you can have inside the feature, you can have any amount of branches, or you can have a hotfix in other branches. So maybe we usually do that kind of things, and we just don't, like, we are following a structure, but we don't know why. It's because everyone does it, but yeah, I mean, it's also because Git flow works that way. So it's one of the ways that you can name your branches. It has issues with pull request, so you can read about it. You will know why it's not actually used, but it's a good structure to follow. And also, yeah, what I was saying is that this provides full awareness all in one view, and it speeds up development. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to mention it. So going forward, I'm going to talk about ongoing commits and changes, finding what is lost. I mentioned already. So yeah, I mean, here is really easy. You just, you go to the branch and you go back. So it's really easier to find what is lost from the story this way. But yeah, I mean, these are the useful commands. Git log, I'm not gonna go that in detail between all the commands. My idea for you guys is to know what can be done and how can it be done. I might not know all the commands 100% or all the arguments that they use, but I know what they are for. So I want you to also know that. So here you can just basically review history and anything regarding the changes, previous changes. You can get commit IDs and anything. So everyone has done this command, so that you guys know, most likely. You can create branches, create and check out, or just check out another branch. Check out a branch from a remote and track it at the same time. You can revert changes. So that's one thing I want to show. So for example, let's say that I have this commit and I don't want the changes from this commit. Or I have another branch with not so much commits and I want to revert one of the latest. And at some point, you just click here and you do a reverse commit. So that's how easy it is from here. Here you can do the same. So if you just go and type a git reverse, I think with the command ID, and it will be the same thing, actually. So that will actually create another commit, and it will, that's the bad thing about using the reverse, because it will actually create another commit. So it doesn't keep the story clean. So that's the bad thing about using that one. Let me just show you. So if I, for example, go here and I do a reverse commit, okay, so yeah, I have conflicts, of course. Pick the wrong copy. But yeah, you get the idea. Basically, yeah, I can also fix the conflicts from here. So if I do a search for this, you will see this. Here you can compare. So I mean, yeah, Visual Studio Code is actually really helpful on this. And you can basically pick the current, which is this one. You can also see with git lens who did the changes and when, and you can see the other one. Of course, at this point, this is the latest one. You can also pick both and maybe fix something, because you might, I mean, this might not be as simple as it is right now. This might be kind of complex and you need both changes. And this is also nice if you have live share, you can actually start a live share session. But yeah, if you have a lot of changes, for example, let's say I accept current, here I go. And yeah, I mean, this obviously I will get a lot of changes here. So if you want to fix multiple changes in one file in just one click, you can actually do Command P, then you go this way, and you will have merge conflict, accept all current, and merge conflict, accept all incoming. So this way you can actually apply all from one side, and it's easier than going one by one. So this is also really useful. So there you go. It's really nice that you have this also available. And what I was saying, let me see, because I think I added some. Okay, yeah. So here you go. This when I hit the reverse, and you will get another commit. So at the point you do the commit, it will create another one in the story. So it's not that good, but it's what most people do when they want to reverse something that broke something else. Like maybe the bills are failing, and you just reverse that commit, and you're good to go. The bad side of it is the extra commit. So that's one bad thing. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions so far. I can keep going. Okay. So we also have git reset. I already showed how that's done from here. So I can do it again. And also, same thing. So if you do it from a terminal, I also display it, so it's git reset and any arguments that you need. So you can reset to a specific commit. You can reset actually only the files that are in staged area, and you can just move it to the unstaged. And you can just reset everything. Also, you have amend. So this is a useful command. I wanted to actually give more details about it. So imagine you have, you did a commit. So imagine you do some changes here. So I did this change, then I went and I just added the file to the staging, and I added like any removed s, whatever. So I'm gonna create another branch actually. Okay, so at this point I have the branch, I have the commit, I just do it. So once this is done, you will, yeah, I should, okay, this is taking long because of all the background things that run when doing the commit in this specific repository. So it does linting fix and other kind of things, so it takes longer. So yeah, just have to wait for that. But the useful thing about the amend argument in the git commit, so you can actually do it this way. So when you do this, what you're doing is you're rewriting history, actually. So it's really useful, but you also have to use it wisely. What you're doing is changing the last commit. So if you added a commit like the one that I'm doing right now, and it's maybe a small change and you want to add more to that commit, but let's say you actually did some changes. You have a working working local at the moment, and you don't want to lose those changes, but you also don't want to do stash because you want to keep working on those changes. So you can just commit it, and yeah, I mean, you could just keep working, and when you get at some other working stage, you can, stage those changes again and commit them again, and you will have another commit. So maybe you do that like 5 times and you get 5 commits, and at some point it gets messy. So you can just do git commit amend, and you will actually overwrite the last commit. So at that point, you can add to the last commit. Okay, so if I had this one, then I can just, for example, do another change here. And I can just do a git commit amend. So basically, you add another one, you do removed s again, and from source tree will be just hitting the amend as commit here, and it will ask you to replace the commit text because you're actually overriding the last commit. So you can actually change the commit message and add files or remove changes or anything. So at that point, see that it put the previous message here. And if I do a commit at this point, I will get one commit with both changes. So it overrides the last commit. So this is really useful. You can also, okay, so you can do it here. And let's say, because I did actually amend, let's see if it has any issues. Okay. So yeah, it's the same. This might open, if I do it from the terminal, it might open Beam just for me to edit the commit message or something. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show. The git commit amend is really useful. One point that I will say I will use it, and I do. So if you're working in, for example, in our case, we're working on Alime, and when you do a commit, you push a PR. So if you get multiple commits, you won't get the right commit message or title in the pull request. So yeah, so let's see. Here I have the message, as you can see. So I can just move the keyboard. I can actually do insert here and just replace the commit message or whatever, or I can just hit 2 points and double Q, and yeah, that will exit and save. So that's good to go. Let's see. Okay, let's see if it worked, because yeah, I think I got an error. Yeah. So yeah, maybe because of the repo configuration or something. So at that point, you will override the last commit. And one good thing about doing what I mentioned is that you will get, if you do one commit, you will get the right title and the right body in the pull request. So let's say I did something like this. Let's say I have a ticket and I just put a ticket ID and I write fixed something meaningful, and then I add a description. So change X because Y, and added C, and anything that you want. So you can add all this here. It's the same, actually, you can do git commit. Most of you must know, I know, but just wanted to mention. So you can actually do something here. And if you hit enter, you can keep adding. So until you add the last this, it will finish the commit. But I mean, if you want to go back and edit what you already typed from the terminal, is really a pain. So here you can just change it again, you know. So another point for the editor. So what else? So I want to make sure that everyone understood the pull request with one commit. It's really useful because if you do, as I mentioned, you do something like this and you even add the URL. So when you see the commit message even from Visual Studio Code, it's really useful. So if I get, for example, here and here I can see look at this. Here I have the URL. It has the ID as the URL, and this is really useful because you actually also have the ticket that it was linked to. So in Jira, this will actually be linked also. So if you go to the story or defect or wherever the ticket is, and you go to the right section on that ticket, you will see there is a development section, and you can see all the commits related to that defect or that story or whatever, like that ticket. I believe this is really powerful, and everyone should use it. So always add the ID of the ticket, and if you can add also any detailed description, like don't just do a simple commit that is not understandable. So as I said, one commit will give you the right title and the right description in the pull request. If you have multiple commits, that won't happen. You will have to pick it up yourself and write it down in the pull request. So that's one reason I use amend. I prefer to push one commit instead of pushing 3 commits. It's also useful if you already pushed the PR and the PR is already created. You can actually keep pushing commits to that PR and it will be fine because it's already created. So you will have the right message and body. Git clean and remove. I don't want to get into details about that, but it's basically just to resetting the files also. So it's the same, and remove, basically just remove a file. So I would say it's similar to just removing the file from here and going to start tree and adding it. So it will be removed. So it's basically similar. So rewriting history, I already discussed a few things about rewriting history. So I want to go with, I already mentioned amend. I want to go a bit further with rebase and rebase interactive maybe, and also reflag. So giving a quick overview, I know a lot of people are scared about rebase, and you should. As I said, I mean, rewriting history is something that you have to be careful about. But if done right, then it can be really powerful. So I did actually a branch, and I added some stuff there so I can show you. Speed of the process. So what I did here in this branch, I started from a previous commit from master, and I just added some commits. So if I want to do a rebase from that branch, then imagine I pulled from master. You already saw me pulling from master at the beginning. So if I want to push my branch and I want to make sure that this branch is up to date with the latest changes from master, which should be, because if you don't make sure about that, then you will get conflicts in the pull request. So yeah, I mean, you can just do actually a pull from master. Like I can just do a pull and select the branch and, you know, master, whatever. And yeah, that will pull the latest from master. And if I get conflicts, then I can just solve them. The bad thing about doing that is that you will get an extra commit. So at the point of the merge, you will get an extra commit, and you will see that commit as a merge commit in history. So you can actually avoid doing that if you do a rebase. So I'm just going to show you. So if you do, I'm in the current branch, rebase. I do a git rebase master. Okay, didn't find any conflicts actually. Okay, that's weird. So it was really fast. Let's see. Okay, so actually the idea of the rebase is that if you have conflicts, you can just solve them from that point. Like, let me just try and create another one. Maybe I can actually get those conflicts so you can see it. So if I go back to a previous commit, let's say this one. So here I get, now I create a branch. Okay, so now I have this. And if I go to the master changes again, then I can add, let's say, okay, these are all package.json. Okay, maybe this one. So this is data stories. Let's see. What was it? Okay, this one. Nice. So this commit is farther. I am at this point. This commit was done later, and it has this change. So if I did a change, for example, this, or I change a previous one too. So let's see if I can show you. So let's see if I get the conflicts actually. If I don't, basically what this happens when you do the git rebase is that you get conflicts. So this will stop. Instead of doing this that happened here, you see like rewinding, replaying your work on top of it, and then you're good to go. This was because it didn't find any conflicts. So if it does find conflicts, you will see that it stopped, and a message saying that you gotta fix the conflicts and do a continue or a skip. So at that point, you can just search for this again. And once you find the conflicts, you fix them as I showed earlier. And you just add those changes to the staging area, and you hit git rebase continue, which is like this. So you can just do that and it will continue up with the rest of the commits, because the rebase, what it does is it compares each commit with your current branch. And if it finds conflicts, then you will have to solve them and just continue with the changes. So it's different from the rebase. It won't create another extra merge commit. It will actually rewrite every commit. But in this case, it will rewrite the commits that you get conflicts with. So that's what it does, basically. So let's see if I can show you. I did the commit. Okay, it worked. So now I got conflicts. As you can see, so here I get the conflicts in the file that I just showed you, that I modified. And let's wait for it to load. Okay. So these are the upcoming current changes, and these are the incoming changes. So here you can compare. So basically, this has the filterable dates stories with an S, and this one doesn't. And also this has this line, which is not here. So if I click the accept incoming, then it will add this with no S and no extra line. And if I hit the current, then it will take this one. So at this point, I'm gonna take my change, because if I take the other, I might not be able to show you the correct thing here. So yeah, I took the wrong change, which is mine. I'll save it. I'll add the file. Oh, wait. I actually have the other, maybe because I did changes there. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just gonna do that. Doesn't matter for now. Just an example. So at this point, I staged the files. So I gotta do a git rebase continue. And there it goes. So I applied my changes on top of the latest branch, the latest commit from master branch. So if you go again to the story, so if I go to my current branch, you will see it has my change, which is this one, and is after the latest commit from master. And there is no extra merge commit. So this is the powerful thing about using rebase. And there are also some projects, at least in LMA, that require them. Like they ask you that you have to do rebase, or at least you have to keep a clean branch history and, you know, no extra unnecessary commits. So the rebase is really useful in this case. And since this is a new branch, you can actually just push this branch. You don't have to worry about, I don't know, removing some stuff from master. So when you do the push, you will only see the commit that you added after the last commit in branch. So there are no conflicts, you already solved them, and you'll get a clean commit history. So this is a really useful command. I use it a lot. And you can also, for example, imagine you have changes. If I had chosen the other changes when I was doing the rebase, I might not have been able to do the git rebase continue, because the changes were actually the same. I mean, there were no changes. So at that point, you actually have to do git rebase skip to be able to continue. So good thing to mention. So this is a useful thing about this command. Anyone has questions? Because I know this one is a good subject. None so far. Okay. So git rebase interactive, I might be able to get into that later. I don't want to take that long, but this is really useful for rewriting history, but you can also remove, edit, or do whatever you want with previous commits. So it has more control, and you also have to use it more carefully. because you can actually remove commits from history. So let's say that I am, change the branch. So let's say that I am here in this branch, and I have this commit, and I also have, like, this is the latest from master, okay? And these are the 2 commits that I added later. So I can actually pick this commit, for example. So let's say I take the ID from that commit, and I go here and I say git rebase interactive and that commit. So this will open the Beam editor, and you will see here the commits that were after the one that I picked. So I have 2 commits, and as you can see, here are all the commands you can do. So if I do, for example, an edit on any of these, I can just hit insert here and replace the pick by an edit. So that will allow me to edit that commit. So I can do an amend at that point and just change the message, change the files, and do whatever. So it will rewrite history. That's why you have to be careful. But one really useful thing about this is that you can drop here, drop, remove commit. So if at some point you commit a big, huge mistake, and or maybe you just have a reverse or a merge or whatever, and you want to clean that up, you can drop a commit using this command. You have to be really careful. Again, I repeat it, but this is really useful. So you can actually just do that, and it's similar to the git rebase. You will do a continue, or you can do a skip or whatever. You can even do an amend, and that's it. This way you can clean up any disaster, but you can also create some other disaster. So you gotta be careful about that one. Let's see. So reflog, I'm not gonna go into that one, but I do want you to know what it is for. So if at some point you removed something, some commit or some branch, and you push it and you lost it forever, like it is lost. There is no way to restore that one. There is actually one way. It's really hard, but it can be done. I have done it only once in the past. I wanted to restore, I don't know, I did a lot of changes, I think, and I just reset the whole thing and I lost it. I remember that. So I used that command once. I don't remember how to use it, but I know this can be done with that command. So if you have, I mean, that was done in your local. So you can actually do a reflog and you can recover changes that were lost from your local. So it can only be done if it was in your local. Otherwise, there is no way to restore it. So there is like a global history or something per computer. So if you have that in your local, then you can restore it. So that's a useful command to take a look at when you get a chance. So custom commands. This is really useful for reducing keystrokes and also reducing amount of work for some specific things. So there are 2 ways I know about, at least. So you can work with aliases. It's pretty straightforward. You just do this command here. You can add it to the global, and you can create the alias dot, and then you do the name of the alias. So you can add anything here. It can be multiple commands too. So then you just do git on stage, which is the alias, and the file, and that's it. It's really useful. It can save time. I don't know, for example, if you want to do a fetch and a pull or that kind of things, you can just do it with one command if you created an alias. Another thing I have done is with a bash file. It's more powerful, I think, because you can actually write a whole script for that, and it's better. So I want to show you actually one script I did for my own purpose. One thing that happens is that at some point you create a lot of branches, and this gets really messy, and the remote gets messy. And it's really like going branch by branch and deleting them or whatever. It can be cumbersome. So what I did is I created this script, which is a bash file. I'm not gonna go into detail about this one. I actually am not a bash expert. I just use a cheat sheet to write this one. But it's really cool. You can actually do the git clean branches, which will take up some arguments, at least for now. You can specify. So for example, right now what it does is by default, it takes 6 weeks or more. And if you want to specify, for example, local, so you can specify local only if you want to remove only the branches from your local and you don't want to push them. So don't remove it from the remote. And you can actually do it with all branches, even with the remote. And you can do a skip prune, and you can do, say, so I'm gonna show you how it works. Basically, you create a bash file, and you will need to add the path to your bash profile. So the path of the custom folder that you created. So I created I don't know, like in my root, I have the git scripts, and then I create the file with that naming convention. So it has to have git dash and the name of your command. So when you do that, you can actually go and do something like this. So git clean branches. You can also pass the arguments. But if you do this, you will see this message. So it will show me which are the branches that will be removed. It will throw, in this case, I throw an error with this because these are not in the remote. And also maybe because I haven't seen the error before, but yeah. Basically, this will take, look at this, examples, rebase 2, fix. So these ones, okay, are the ones that are gonna be removed. So I can just hit yes or no and it will remove them and it will push them. Of course, I won't do that right now, but I just wanted to show you how you can create also custom commands, and you can also modify. Like for example, why it didn't show master or whatever. I had this, so I am preventing any branch starting with master, dev, and release from being on the list. You can add anything else there, like I don't know if it starts with 0 or 0 dot or 1 dot or whatever. You can add a regular expression or something. But I mean, this is really powerful if you want to save up time. So I did this to save up time, basically, to be able to clean branches, all branches. So I can also pass options to that one. And so if I do git clean branches and weeks, and I don't know, 2 weeks. So in my display, I really don't have much branches in this repo, so can show you that in much detail. But this can be done, and I want you to know that you can do that. So more tips. So yeah, cherry pick is one good alternative if you want to remove a commit, for example, and there are not many commits after that one. So you don't have to go from the rebase interactive or something. Or cherry pick is also useful if, I don't know, you made a mistake on something, some branch, you just create a new branch and just cherry pick the commits that you want from that branch. So in SourceTree, this is really easy. You just go to a specific commit, double click, and cherry pick. So that's how easy it is. So this will apply that commit into my local, to my working workspace. So basically, it's really useful. I don't know if you, for example, have 2 commits in some branch and you just say, oh, okay, then I'm gonna go to master, I'm gonna branch again, a new branch, and then I select another branch, I do a cherry pick from a specific commit, and we're good to go. So it will apply that one, and you won't have the other one if you don't want it. So that's pretty useful. The stash, I know most of you know it. It basically will store your changes, but it won't commit them. So you can save multiple stashes like I have here, and you can actually, here in SourceTree, you can view them really easy. You know, in Visual Studio Code with Git Lens, you can actually do that too. So if you go to Git Lens, you can see the stashes here. And sorry, and here you can just click the stashes. You will see each file that you stash, and you can click it, and it will open it with the changes. So yeah, again, it's whatever you prefer. You can do that. So print it. So I already showed you how to remove specific commits, how to write your own commands. One extra thing I will say, keep changes small. You will have a lot of issues if you do a huge commit or you push a huge PR. You will always have, I don't know, that PR will take longer to get merged. It's really hard to review. As a reviewer, you will also see it. It's really hard to review a huge commit. So try to keep your changes small. Try to do sequential commits that make sense and are meaningful too. And it will help a lot. It will actually save time. Do meaningful PRs. So as I explained, don't just add any message that's so simple that, I mean, you really don't know what you did. Try to add the ticket ID, try to add a good title, try to add a good description. That will help a lot. Even if going back in time again and seeing the changes is better if you have a really good commit history. And yeah, use source tree, use Git Lens. There is also something else, but I believe I don't want to get too deep into this. I know Dim Sum team can actually discuss a lot this more than I do because I haven't really done much with conventional commits, but I have done some minor things. So basically it allows to generate, automate the generation of change logs. So all this it allows to do. It will basically do automation. So you can actually make releases automatically. So for example, it has specific, it's just a specification. And if you follow it, the repositories that have it enabled, you can basically do stuff like this, fix something. So by having this prefix, it will automatically add it as a fix and it will create a new release for that one. So just to get an idea, that's how it works. You can have other stuff, like for example, I'm going to show you here. So this is the conventional commits page. So you can add a feature, you can add a fix, you can add a breaking change, you can use all these. So this is this is something else I don't want to talk about right now. You can just read about it here in the conventional commits. I want you to know this exists, and it's also a way of working with projects that have releases that are consumed by other people. So Dim Sum uses it, and I know other people, like for example other projects like AppSDK or something else. So it's really good to read about this, and specifically if you want to collaborate on those projects. And I know this was a really long meeting. Git is a really large subject, so I tried to do as simple as I could. So any questions?
I have no question. It's more something to add. Good talk. Thank you, Daniel. It's more about that when we use rebase, we need to be careful that we can't use it with a shared branch. We can use only when we are the owner of the branch.
Yeah, you can remove someone else commits, so you have to be careful with that too. Yeah.
And a good thing about the Rebase Interactive is we can squash commits. If we have a big history with the commits, we can squash it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't touch that point, but yeah, I mean, you can actually squash it and you will get multiple commits into one. So that's a really good one too. thanks for mentioning that, Juan.
Thank you.
One question there about the squashing. Like, I feel that, as you said before, this started, but like if you squash it, you will lose like all the history, no, of that commits.
Yeah,
like all the messages and everything. Like, is there anything around, kind of like now that we are working with PRs all around, to have like kind of like the PRs in the main branch, let's say, and like keep kind of subcommits? I don't know if you understand what I mean. Like, imagine if you could have messages like PR, and you will have in each all the subcommits. It's not good, but I think that will be better than a squash and losing everything.
I mean, I know, for example, when you push, I mean, if you push a PR and you have like a branch with 5 commits, at least from our side, we have that set up. So in the PR, when it gets merged, it actually does a squash automatically. So if you have 5 commits, it will squash it into one. Not sure if that's kind of the
and so that actually like the history actually remains in the branch. If you don't delete it, you have it there.
Well, I know that I have checked in GitHub and I see that branch if it doesn't get, because I mean, we usually delete the branches from the remote. But yeah, I mean, you should have that history in the branch actually. Not sure if anyone else can give input on that, but I believe it should be there.
Maybe that's nice if you don't run your script and actually delete that too. Like that will be good if you use a squash, but you keep the branches around.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, we try to keep the branches at least from the remote, and I mean, might get messy if you have them in your local, but I think you can still view that from the remote actually. At least I've seen that, for example, if you see the history and you go like to the line from the remote, maybe you can go to that branch, but I'm not sure. Like right now, I couldn't tell actually.
Any more question for Daniel? Good talk, by the way, Daniel. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. Hey, Daniel. So thank you very much for this. This is a very, a lot of thing in a small time. I think is a hard topic to discuss.
Yeah.
So one, so you mentioned about the reverting one commit, right? So what do you suggest instead of reverting a commit?
It depends on your specific case.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can give more context and I can give a better answer.
Yeah, let's say someone, we're 2 or 3 people are working on the same, let's say, project, right? And they have committed, let's say, 3 commits, and one of these commits shouldn't have been merged with the main branch, right? So you come after that and you have it already in master, and for some reason you want to take that code out.
So
Something
you have the commits in master already.
Yep.
Okay. So that's where it gets messy because
Exactly.
it is already in master.
Yep.
So I mean, at this point, if it's in master and there are a lot of people working on that, either you do a revert or you actually discuss it with everyone and make everyone be in the same page, and someone takes care of doing a rebase to remove the commit. But as I said, I mean, it has to be really, really careful about that because you're rewriting history. So like no one can touch that. No one can do any other commits or something. Like one single person will have to take care of that, and it will have to have permissions to do that also.
Exactly, because this requires a force push, right? So normally master branch should be protected against forced. Yeah,
exactly. So that's the problem, because you actually do a force push after doing that.
Exactly.
And if you don't have permissions to do a force push, then for sure you cannot do it. So that's a hard thing. So if no one has permissions, then you are good to go with a reverse. There is no not much you can do about that, actually. Also,
Yeah.
when you do a rebase and when you do rebase interactive or whatever, or anything that rewrites history, you have to do a git push force. So that's one thing you have to, I didn't mention that, and you have to be careful with that. So you will see actually like a pull request pending or something. So when you do that, you will see like you have to pull and you have to push at the same time. Like
Yeah.
why? Because you change history. So at that point, you will have to do a git push force. And
Exactly.
if you're doing it in your own branch, no one is touching that branch, and you're sure that it's safe, then you're good to go. But if you're working with some other people on that branch, then you have to be careful.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, this is the thing. I think we should maybe have one more, session like this. So maybe focusing more on rebase or something like that, because I think this take a lot of time.
Yeah, I had to squash the the meeting.
Yeah.
Next Thursday is open, Mudafar, if you want to prepare it.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, not about Git, but yeah, there's a topic to discuss about. Yeah. Thank you very much again. Yeah, that's it.
No problem. Also, for example, if you do actually a push force, you are someone else. Like, let's say that you actually had the branch shared. So let's say someone else was working on my branch, and I did a force push, and that person has to bring those changes into his local. So he already had the branch in his local, so he will see the same problem. He will see like, he cannot just do a pull and that's it, because you rewrite history and he has different commit history. So at that point, he can just do like this. He can do a git reset hard and specify the remote and the branch. So that will bring your local to be at the same as that specific branch in the remote. That's way of doing it. But yeah, the same thing. You have to be careful. So if you have anything in your local or something, you have to be careful.
Gotcha. Yep. Thank you.
Any more questions for Daniel?
I just wanted to point out something that if you
You're cutting out.
Was like 3CPO.
Yeah.
Someone
that was
possess
scary.
you? Someone possess you?
Like, if you want, you can type it also in the general
The
channel, and
yeah.
we will.
Yeah, maybe it will be better in the channel. General maybe?
Yeah.
Or I don't know where. Talks, actually.
In the general channel is good.
Yeah.
But okay. While we wait, I have one question actually for like the people that have been using conventional commits. I saw them applied in like open source projects, and it's amazing how like because they have tons of commits and they can generate the change logs automatically. That is like ton of work to do if not. But I was wondering about like setups like Dim Sum, like that in more internal project, like for the people that are using it, like have you been able to like really stick to it, like really be consistent about using it, and have you seen the benefits?
I think Dim Sum, anyone from Dim Sum in the call can give a good reply to that question. Because I've just added some fixes to some projects and
No one from this one. I think when you were about like to press the yes in that script, like everybody kind of like got a heart attack. And actually, like it's not only the yes. If you press no and you have drawn the condition in your script, like I was also shaking.
Yeah, but there seems to be no one from Dim Sum. That's a shame.
Okay. So the answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's really good. Conventional commits are really powerful because you can do commits that don't follow the structure, and those commits won't get a release or anything. So I know you can specify a bunch of things. This is really powerful. I really don't know much in the subject. I just used fix and fit, so haven't really done much. I'm not working on those kind of projects, so I couldn't say. It will be nice if having someone from Dimson replying to that.
Yeah, this is another very interesting topic to have, actually, Matias.
Yeah. Nico Barca at one point in like in a talk from LMA, he did say something about that's also really nice. I think they were also using in his project. But yeah, I will ask the Dimson people in the JavaScript channel later then. So
cool.
I think Gabriel is maybe typing. I don't know. Like we can actually because this is already quite long, so we can keep talking and chatting in the general channel or in the other channels about the questions. And yeah, so we have one from Gonzalo, and we can go there. So thanks everybody. Thanks a lot, Daniel, for preparing this talk. And see you next week.
You're welcome, guys.
Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Goodbye.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you.